So during this gathering today, we want to speak in a way that you can feel as we feel and know as we know the reality of this vibrational reality. We want you to feel this vortex, and we want you to know its realness, and it is our desire to light a spark within you that makes you decide that you want to get in the vortex, that you want to be one of those cooperative components. Now, it's perfectly possible, may happen to you often. We see it happen to Esther, where you're bipping along, you're finding reasons to feel good, you're launching rockets of desire, and you're mostly in the vortex. And life is sweet when you are. People are kind to you, doors are opening for you, ideas are flowing, you have a feeling of well-being, a feeling of clarity and ease. You have balance. No matter what happens, you have your sea legs. All is well for you. And then something will happen that causes an reactivation of an old, maybe dormant vibration within you. Something happens and you view it, which causes you to offer a vibration that isn't consistent with the vortex. So all that happens is the vortex just spits you out. Because if you're not a vibrational match to it, law of attraction doesn't hold you there. In other words, you're called there. Spitting you out is a sharp way of saying it, but it really is accurate. Because law of attraction calls to it what matches and doesn't allow near it what doesn't. How about that? So if you are a vibrational match, if you are feeling worthy, if you're feeling confident, if you're feeling happy with yourself, you're happily in the vortex. But when you find a reason to find fault with yourself, out you go. Now, we want to present this in a way that you don't worry about getting spit out of the vortex, because you understand that this process that you are upon here in your physical body is 3 steps. You came forth to explore contrast. You came forth to know what you don't want so that you can more clearly identify what it is you do want. Without that comparison, none of us could move forward. So as you continue to add to all that is by knowing what you don't want, you're having a step 1 moment. And when you're having a step 1 moment, you're not in the vortex. Now, we're always in the vortex having our step 2 moment. In other words, when you launch a rocket of desire, you send it our way. And we see it and embrace it and know it and become a vibrational match to it. We focus upon it, and law of attraction responds to it, which means what you want is in the process of becoming, but it means something ever so much more important. It means you expanded to be more. And that's the thing that so many of you are missing in this business of creation. You think you're creating a car. You're not creating only a car. You're creating yourself as the holder of that better vehicle. It is you who is expanding. Life gave you the idea of expanse, and even though your ideas are about things you want or relationships you want, you are the expanded part of this. Can you hear this? So life keeps causing you to become more, and when you become more, the you that became more is always in the vortex. Step 2. Step 3 is you in your human physical form must find a way to get in there too. That's what the art of allowing is. Getting in the vortex, becoming a vibrational match to who you have become. Another way of saying it is, life caused you to expand. The larger part of you did. What's the rest of you doing? Hanging on for dear life. Beating the drum of justification and rationalization. I need it because I don't have it. I need it because I don't have it. I need it because I don't have it. And what we want you to hear is the vibration of I don't have it doesn't match what's in the vortex. So everything that we talk about, every book we've ever written, every process we've ever flowed to you, and there are dozens of them and dozens more coming, every process is about helping you figure out how to get in the vortex. And there's no cut and dried way, because your vortex is not exactly the same as anyone else's vortex. In other words, what you put in it and the vibrational components of it are unique to you. But it doesn't matter that it's unique to you, because you have a unique guidance system that is unique to you also. You have a unique guidance system that is letting you know in every moment what your vibrational relationship is between you and you. And the better you feel, the better the relationship is. The worse you feel, the worse the relationship is. In other words, you got to get tuned into who you are. At the last seminar, the computer system that Esther had created, she took a FileMaker program and wrote the system, which makes it possible for you to purchase things and register as you do. And in the middle of the seminar, that computer that Esther set up in 2005 said, "I'm ready to reemerge into non-physical." And so I'll hang on for you as best I can for the rest of this seminar, but after that I'm done, was the message it was giving as it continued to turn itself off and disconnect the network. And so after the seminar, Esther took another computer, and with the help of her computer genius back home, she set the system up again. But this morning, she was expecting a 7 o'clock phone call from Jeannie to let her know that all was well. Even though she didn't feel that it wasn't, she wanted to hear that it was. But the phone call didn't come because there is no telephone reception here. Esther carries every cell phone system known to man, and all of them said no service. So Esther's standing on the chair, hanging out the window, reaching for a bar. Maybe if I can get taller, I can get a bar. And she managed to get a signal off to Jeannie, and Jeannie said, "I left you a message," and then the phone cut out. But Esther could tell by the tone of Jeannie's calm voice that all was well, so Esther looked at her phones, and there were no messages on any phones. And then about an hour later, her phone went, and she looked, and there was the message that had come in at 7:01. So even though the message had been transmitted by a very well-meaning transmitter, it had not been received because there was no vibrational frequency equivalent. In other words, there are all kinds of things that from your place of sifting and sorting, you launch your rockets. You launch your rockets, and they are received, and they are held there for you in the cell phone service in the sky until you get within range. And when you get within range, you'll get your message. But it's up to you to get within range, you see. Because it does not matter how well the signal has been transmitted. It does not matter that all that is, the energy that creates worlds, is tending to your vortex of creation. But you've got to get in the vicinity. It's all up to you. There is not one other who can bring you within range. Oh, we can coax you, and we do. We can tell you about who you really are. We can hold you in conversation. We can wave Esther's arms around and move around and offer words with never-ending stream. We can rope you in to our consensus of thought. We can do everything we can to gain your attention until we have talked you into the vibrational vicinity of who you are, where you get glimpses of what you want. But for you to get into the vortex on a consistent basis, these things are required of you. First, you must accept that you are a source energy being, and that only a small part of that source energy being is represented here in this physical body that you know as you. Next, you must accept that this physical being that is you is of immense importance to all that is, that there is no diminishment by the comparison of you and you. You are important to the whole, and you came for the pleasure of the experience of creating. You came to sift through the contrast, and most of all, to give birth to desire, because that is at the heart of the eternalness of eternity. If you cannot come to a new conclusion, then nothing moves forward. But don't worry, you can't hold it back. It is set up that perfectly. So you launch your rockets, and Source holds them. Next, you must accept that there is a vibrational reality that exists before all physical realities, and that vibrational reality is the forming of your creation in the same way that the vortex of creation formed this galaxy, this planet, this system that you live within. All that you see and all that you know that is physical in nature was born out of an idea that was held by more until over time and in consistency of the idea, it took form and became the reality that you want to call real reality. We want you to come to the place where you can accept that this vibrational reality is not just sort of kind of real in a dream state way, but that it is the reality that is the precursor to all that you've ever known as reality. It's more real than the reality that you look at. When you see someone who is sick, that is not reality, it is a distortion of reality. In other words, when someone is sick, they ask to be well, and that is the bigger reality. When you don't have enough money and you want more, you launch a rocket of desire, and your vibrational bank account becomes bigger than ever before. The financial crisis that your world has been focused upon has put more into your vibrational mass consciousness reality than hundreds of years that have gone by. In other words, when billions of people make requests into this vibrational reality, it is something that is real and will have lasting and positive effect on this and future generations. But in order for you to know it in your now, you've got to find a way of closing the gap. So the things that are required of you in order to be the deliberate creator that you've come forth to be, you must accept the vibrational reality, and you must accept that you are a vibrational being, and you must accept that your emotions are your indicator of your vibrational mix, and you must accept that when you feel negative emotion, that negative emotion is an indicator of resistance within you that you and only you can do something about, and that when you have positive emotion, it is an indication of no resistance or little resistance, and that in that alignment you are in the vortex where you will soon have clear sight, and opportunities, circumstances, and events will reveal themselves to you. It is law. It must be. You cannot fail. There is nothing that you cannot be or do or have. Once you've given birth to it and it's in the vortex, all you've got to do is find a way of lining up with it. So even though this workshop is based around the powerful law of attraction, the emphasis that we are offering is about the art of allowing, the art of me in my physical form, figuring out how to allow myself into the vortex where all that I want is. And if I have a chronic habit of thought of complaining or worrying or pushing against or finding fault, if I have chronic habits of thought like that, then I have chronic habits of thought that hold me outside the vortex. And we say, being outside the vortex isn't so awful. Many people hang around outside the vortex pretty much all of their physical life, and they don't really move in a consistent way until they croak. And we just don't think you should have to croak to get in. So through this gathering, you'll say, well, how do I get in? What's the password? What's the combination? And we say, well, since it's your unique vortex, and since you have put everything into it, then you'll be able to feel your resonance or not with it. That's really the key. The key to getting in the vortex is recognizing that the better you feel, the closer you are. And the more often the better you feel, then the more often you're inside.